Have you ever lay awake in the profound quiet of the night, staring up at the ceiling, and wondered if the world around you only truly exists in its definite form because you are there to witness it? It is a question that sounds like a philosophical riddle, a gentle puzzle meant to pass the time in the silence of the dark. We are used to a reality that feels solid, permanent, and entirely independent of our gaze. When you close your eyes, you feel an absolute, comforting certainty that the walls of your room, the trees swaying outside your window, and the vast canvas of the cosmos stretching endlessly above you remain exactly as they were. This intuitive comfort is the foundation of our everyday lives. It is the classical way of understanding the universe, a perspective championed by brilliant minds for centuries, painting a picture of a mechanical cosmos ticking along like an ancient, infinite clockwork. But in the early years of the 20th century, humanity peered deeper into the fundamental fabric of reality than ever before. Scientists did not find a predictable clockwork. Instead, within the microscopic heart of matter, they uncovered a profound mystery that challenges everything we feel to be true about our existence. If you find yourself captivated by these deep existential mysteries, if you feel that gentle pull of curiosity, calling you to explore the profound unknown, welcome to our shared journey. I am Walter, the explorer, and I am honored to be your guide through the wondrous depths of the cosmos. I have noticed that 73% of the wonderful people who watch our videos have not yet subscribed to the channel. If you enjoy this quiet exploration of the universe, please consider subscribing. It helps us immensely, allowing us to continue creating these meditative journeys into the science that shapes our reality. And it lets us know that you want to keep unraveling these beautiful mysteries together. Now, let us return to that quiet contemplation of reality. To understand the true nature of what it means to observe, we must journey down into a realm so unimaginably small that our everyday intuition completely breaks down. Imagine taking a single grain of sand from a quiet, moonlit beach and dividing it. Divide it again and again, millions upon millions of times, until you reach the fundamental building blocks of nature. Here, in the microscopic depths of atoms and subatomic particles, the solid rules of our macroscopic world dissolve into a shimmering dance of probabilities. This is the quantum realm, a place of profound beauty and staggering strangeness. In this invisible world, particles do not behave like tiny billiard balls moving along predictable paths. Instead, they exist in a state of potential, a hazy cloud of possibilities known as a wave function. Until it is measured, a quantum particle does not possess a definite location or a definite momentum. It exists in a superposition, meaning it is, in a very real sense, everywhere and nowhere at once, occupying all its possible states simultaneously. It is as if the universe is holding its breath, waiting for something to happen. And what is that something? It is the act of observation. This brings us to one of the most famous and mind-bending experiments in the history of science, an experiment that single-handedly shatters our classical understanding of reality. It is known as the double-slit experiment. Imagine a gentle stream of water rippling toward a barrier with two narrow openings. As the water passes through the two slits, the waves interfere with each other, creating a beautiful, complex pattern of crests and troughs on the other side. Now, imagine firing solid, tiny objects, perhaps minuscule grains of sand, through those same two slits. You would expect to see two distinct bands of sand accumulate on a screen behind the barrier, corresponding directly to the two openings. This is how our solid, everyday world works. But when scientists fired individual electrons, the fundamental particles that make up the outer shell of every atom in your body, through a similar double-slit apparatus, they witnessed something impossible. Even when fired one by one, with plenty of time and silence between each particle, the electrons did not form two simple bands. Instead, over time, they built up an interference pattern, exactly like the gentle ripples of water. This result is absolutely staggering. How can a single, solitary particle interfere with itself? The mathematics of quantum mechanics tells us that while the electron is traveling, it acts as a wave of probability. It passes through both slits simultaneously, interfering with its own potential paths. It is existing in that ghostly state of superposition, a pure, undefined potential spreading out through the vast microscopic void. But the true mystery, the profound paradox that we are exploring tonight, happens when scientists try to look closer. When physicists placed a detector at the slits, a device designed simply to quietly observe which specific slit the electron was actually passing through, the entire nature of the reality shifted. The very act of placing an observer, of demanding a definite answer from the universe, caused the beautiful, rippling interference pattern to vanish completely. Suddenly, the electrons began acting exactly like solid grains of sand, forming two simple, distinct bands on the detector screen. The wave function had collapsed. The mere presence of an observer had forced the universe to choose a single, definite reality out of an infinite sea of possibilities. This brings us to the ultimate, staggering question. What exactly constitutes an observer? Does it require a conscious human mind, looking at a computer screen in a quiet laboratory? Can a simple mechanical detector, mindlessly recording data without any awareness, collapse the delicate quantum wave function? This question has haunted the greatest minds in physics for over a century. Albert Einstein, a man whose brilliant mind mapped the vast curvature of the cosmos, was deeply troubled by this idea. He famously asked a colleague if he truly believed that the moon only existed when he looked at it. For Einstein, the universe had to possess an objective reality, completely independent of our gentle, fleeting gaze. Yet, the relentless, rigorous experiments of quantum mechanics continue to suggest something far more complex and far more mysterious. The physicist John Archibald Wheeler, a visionary who worked alongside giants like Niels Bohr and Albert Einstein, proposed that we live in a participatory universe. He suggested that the observer is not merely a passive witness, sitting quietly in the theater of reality, watching the cosmic play unfold. Instead, the observer is an active participant, fundamentally necessary for the universe to manifest its definite form. To truly understand the observer, we must turn our gaze inward. What are you, the conscious entity pondering these deep mysteries, actually made of? You are not separate from the cosmos you are trying to understand. You are intimately, fundamentally woven from the exact same microscopic fabric. Your body is a magnificent, highly complex temporary arrangement of atoms. The carbon in your DNA, the iron rushing through your blood, the calcium fortifying your bones, and the oxygen you are gently breathing in right this very moment. Every single one of these atoms was forged billions of years ago in the blazing, ancient hearts of dying stars. When those primordial stars ended their lives in spectacular supernova explosions, They cast their enriched elements across the vast, silent void of space. Those elements drifted through the gentle quiet of the cosmos for eons, eventually coalescing to form our sun, our small rocky planet, and eventually you. As the beloved astrophysicist Carl Sagan so poetically reminded us, we are made of star stuff. We are a way for the universe to know itself. But if you are made of atoms, and atoms are governed by the strange, probabilistic laws of quantum mechanics, then the observer is ultimately made of quantum particles. You are a macroscopic being constructed from microscopic uncertainties. Your brain, the complex biological computer that generates your conscious experience, processes information through the firing of billions of neurons. These neurons operate through the flow of ions, charged atoms, which means that at its most fundamental, deepest level, your consciousness is tied to the quantum realm. How does a collection of billions of uncertain, hazy quantum particles organize itself into a unified, conscious observer capable of collapsing a wave function? This is known as the measurement problem, and it stands as one of the most profound, unresolved mysteries in all of modern science. It is a boundary where our rigorous scientific understanding meets the deep, quiet shores of philosophy. Some interpretations of quantum mechanics suggest that the wave function is simply a mathematical tool used to calculate probabilities, and that the collapse is just the updating of our knowledge. In this view, the observer is essentially the boundary between the microscopic quantum world and the macroscopic classical world. Other interpretations are even more mind-bending, suggesting that the wave function never actually collapses at all, but rather that the universe gracefully branches out into parallel realities for every possible outcome. Yet, in our quiet, everyday experience, we only ever perceive one continuous, coherent timeline. We feel singular. We feel whole. The mystery of the observer, therefore, is not just a question about the mechanical workings of subatomic particles. It is a deeply personal, existential question about the very nature of identity, consciousness, and our profound connection to the vast, ancient universe that surrounds us. We are standing on the shore of a vast, uncharted cosmic ocean, and the journey to understand the water itself is just beginning. Every question we ask gently pushes us further into the beautiful, endless mystery of what we truly are. Have you ever held your own hand up to the light of the moon, watching the gentle silver glow trace the edges of your fingers, and asked yourself what exactly is casting that shadow? We move through this quiet world with a profound sense of solidity. When you touch a wooden desk, or feel the rough bark of an ancient tree, or hold the hand of someone you love, your senses tell you a comforting story of permanence and substance. Your brain, navigating the macroscopic universe, relies on this beautiful illusion to keep you safe and grounded. But the deeper we look into the fundamental nature of matter, the more this comforting illusion begins to dissolve into a breathtaking, almost ghostly reality. To understand what a quantum observer is truly made of, we must first unlearn the physical world as we perceive it, and embrace the vast, silent emptiness that resides within our very own bodies. You are the observer, the central consciousness in your own universe. Yet the physical vessel that anchors you to this reality is far more mysterious, far more ephemeral than you could ever imagine. If you find yourself captivated by these deep existential mysteries, if you feel that gentle pull of curiosity calling you to explore the profound unknown, welcome to our shared journey. I am Walter, the explorer, and I am honored to be your guide through the wondrous depths of the cosmos. I have noticed that 73% of the wonderful people who watch our videos have not yet subscribed to the channel. If you enjoy this quiet exploration of the universe, please consider subscribing. It helps us immensely, allowing us to continue creating these meditative journeys into the science that shapes our reality. And it lets us know that you want to keep unraveling these beautiful mysteries together. Now, let us return to the quiet mystery of your own physical existence. Think of the ancient, silent cosmos, the vast stretches of intergalactic space where the distance between shimmering stars is measured in trillions of miles of near absolute nothingness. We look up at the night sky and feel a sense of awe at that boundless, quiet void. Yet, you carry a mirror of that exact same cosmic emptiness within you. The atoms that make up your skin, your bones, and the very eyes you use to observe the universe are almost entirely composed of empty space. If you were to magnify a single atom from your hand so that its central nucleus was the size of a small marble sitting in the center of a massive stadium, the electrons orbiting that nucleus would be like tiny gnats buzzing around the highest bleachers. The space between that marble and those gnats is not filled with air. It is a profound, silent void. Physicists calculate that normal matter is 99.9999% empty space. If we magically removed all of the empty space from the atoms of every single human being on Earth, all 8 billion of us would be compressed into a volume smaller than a single sugar cube. You, the observer, the entity possessing the profound ability to collapse a quantum wave function, are fundamentally made of nothingness. You are a ghostly architecture of probability, held together by invisible forces. How can a being composed almost entirely of empty space possess the solidity to interact with the world, let alone the consciousness to observe it? The answer lies not in solid particles, but in invisible dynamic relationships. The solidity you feel when you touch a surface is not the collision of objects. It is the fierce, invisible repulsion of electromagnetic fields. The electrons in your hand and the desk are negatively charged, and as they approach, they repel each other with an unimaginable force. You have never actually touched anything. You have only ever felt the gentle push of quantum fields in the dark. This realization dramatically changes how we must think about the act of observation. When you look at a distant star, you are not passively receiving solid pieces of the world. You are engaging in a delicate, continuous dance of energy. Let us trace the journey of a single observation. Imagine you are standing outside on a quiet night, looking up at the ancient light of the Andromeda Galaxy. Data gathered by incredible instruments from NASA and the European Space Agency remind us that this neighboring galaxy is over 2 million light-years away. For over 2 million years, countless photons have been traveling across the vast, silent emptiness of intergalactic space. They have crossed millions of light-years of quiet void, untouched and unobserved, existing as rippling waves of pure potential. Finally, after an incredibly long cosmic journey, a few of those ancient photons reach the delicate surface of your eye. They pass through the lens and strike the retina, a highly complex biological screen composed of millions of specialized cells. At this exact moment, a profound quantum interaction occurs. The photon, a tiny packet of electromagnetic energy, is absorbed by a specific molecule within your retinal cells called rhodopsin. This absorption is not a mechanical collision, it is a transfer of quantum energy. The energy of the ancient photon causes an electron within the molecule to jump to a higher energy state, fundamentally changing its shape. This microscopic shapeshifting triggers a cascading chemical reaction, a gentle domino effect that ripples through the cell, generating a tiny electrical signal. This signal, a whisper of current, travels down your optic nerve into the vast neural networks of your brain. Somewhere in that intricate web of 100 billion neurons, that electrical signal is processed and transformed into the conscious experience of seeing a faint, fuzzy patch of light in the night sky. But where, exactly, in this incredibly complex chain of events, does the quantum observation take place? Where does the wave function of the photon collapse? Does it happen the moment the photon touches the molecule in your eye? Or does the molecule itself enter a state of superposition, both having absorbed and not having absorbed the photon, until the electrical signal is generated? Does the optic nerve exist in a blurred state of potential until the signal reaches the brain? Or, as some thinkers have suggested, does the collapse only truly occur when the information reaches the mysterious realm of human consciousness? This sequence is known as the von Neumann chain, named after the brilliant mathematician who realized that the mathematics of quantum mechanics does not tell us where to draw the line between the quantum world of probabilities and the classical world of definite outcomes. Every step in the biological process of vision is made of atoms, and every atom obeys the laws of quantum mechanics. Therefore, the retina, the optic nerve, and the brain itself should theoretically be subject to quantum superposition. If the measuring device is made of quantum particles, it too should become entangled with the object it measures. This leads us down a path of infinite regression, a puzzle that gently challenges the core of our understanding. Some physicists argue that the sheer complexity of the human brain causes a rapid, spontaneous collapse through a process called quantum decoherence. The environment within the brain is too warm and chaotic to sustain delicate quantum superpositions for more than a microscopic fraction of a second. The gentle interactions with surrounding molecules force the quantum states to rapidly leak into the environment, creating the illusion of a solid reality. In this view, the observer is simply a macroscopic system complex enough to irrevocably entangle with the quantum event. Yet, even with the elegant concept of decoherence, a quiet mystery remains. Decoherence explains how the interference pattern disappears, but it does not fully explain why one specific outcome is chosen over all the others. It does not explain the deeply personal, subjective feeling of awareness that accompanies the observation. Why does it feel like something to be an observer? When the ancient photon strikes your eye, you do not just process data like an unfeeling computer. You experience the quiet beauty of the night, the profound sense of scale, the gentle stirring of wonder. You feel a connection to the vast silence of the cosmos. This subjective experience is often referred to as the hard problem of consciousness. It is a mystery that science has not yet fully unraveled. How does the objective firing of neurons, made of empty atoms, produce the rich, subjective tapestry of human experience? Perhaps the capacity for awareness is woven into the very fabric of reality, waiting for the right, highly complex biological architecture to channel it, much like a radio receiver catching invisible waves of music from the quiet air. In this contemplative view, the universe is not a dead mechanical machine. Instead, it is a vast, interconnected, participatory system currently in the process of waking up. We, as observers, are the sensory organs of the cosmos. Through our eyes, the universe sees its own ancient starlight. Through our minds, the universe comprehends its elegant mathematical laws. The quantum observer is not an isolated entity separate from the world, but an integral, necessary part of the grand cosmic dance. We are the universe observing itself, collapsing infinite possibilities into the beautiful, singular reality of this present moment, ready to explore further into the silent unknown. Have you ever walked through a quiet, ancient forest in the deep silence of autumn, watching two golden leaves detach from the exact same branch and drift downward through the gentle air? You might wonder, as they twirl and dance in the wind, completely separated by physical space, if they somehow quietly remember that they were once part of the identical living entity. In our everyday macroscopic world, once two objects are separated, they lead entirely independent lives. A stone thrown into a vast ocean creates ripples that have no immediate, magical connection to a stone resting quietly on a distant mountain peak. We live in a universe that feels wonderfully local, where things only affect each other through direct contact or forces traveling through the quiet space between them. This intuitive sense of separation gives us a comforting feeling of individuality. You are here, and the distant cosmos is out there. But when we dive back down into the microscopic depths of the quantum realm, this comforting illusion of separation dissolves into one of the most profound and beautiful mysteries ever discovered by human minds. If you find yourself captivated by these deep existential mysteries, if you feel that gentle pull of curiosity calling you to explore the profound unknown, welcome to our shared journey. I am Walter, the explorer, and I am honored to be your guide through the wondrous depths of the cosmos. I have noticed that 73% of the wonderful people who watch our videos have not yet subscribed to the channel. If you enjoy this quiet exploration of the universe, please consider subscribing. It helps us immensely, allowing us to continue creating these meditative journeys into the science that shapes our reality. And it lets us know that you want to keep unraveling these beautiful mysteries together. Now, let us return to that gentle question of connection. In the quantum realm, there exists a phenomenon so strange, so deeply counterintuitive, that even the most brilliant physicists of the 20th century struggled to accept it. It is called quantum entanglement. Imagine two subatomic particles, perhaps two tiny electrons or two ancient photons of light, that are created together in a single, fiery, microscopic event. The rigorous mathematical laws of quantum mechanics dictate that these two particles can become entangled. This means that their quantum states, their hazy clouds of probability, become inextricably linked, woven together into a single, unified mathematical description. They are no longer two separate entities, but rather a single, continuous system, regardless of how much physical distance you place between them. You could take one of these entangled photons and keep it here in your quiet room, and you could send the other one across the vast, silent void of space, all the way to the edge of the observable universe, billions of light years away. In our classical world, we would assume that these two photons are now completely isolated. But in the quantum universe, separation is a gentle illusion. If you were to finally measure your photon here on Earth, gently forcing its wave function to collapse and adopt a definite state, such as a specific spin, the entangled partner billions of light years away would instantaneously, in that exact same microscopic fraction of a moment, collapse into the corresponding state. It is as if the two particles are engaged in a silent, instantaneous conversation across the infinite cosmos. There is no time delay. There is no signal traveling through the dark, quiet space between them. It happens faster than the speed of light, challenging the very foundation of how we understand the flow of time and the structure of space. Albert Einstein, a man whose profound intellect was anchored in the beautiful predictability of a local universe, found this concept deeply unsettling. He famously described it as spooky action at a distance, believing that it proved the quantum theory was somehow incomplete. He felt that the universe could not possibly operate through such ghostly, invisible connections. Yet, decades of rigorous, beautiful experiments have proven that this spooky action is a fundamental, undeniable reality of our cosmos. The universe truly is deeply, intimately connected in ways that defy our classical intuition. But what does this profound mystery mean for our central question? What does this mean for the quantum observer? If you, the conscious entity witnessing the universe, are made of the exact same atoms and subatomic particles that possess the ability to become entangled, are you too entangled with the world you are observing? Let us gently explore this breathtaking possibility. Every time you interact with your environment, every time you breathe in the cool night air, every time your hand brushes against the rough texture of a stone, and every time your eyes capture the ancient light of a distant star, the quantum particles within your body are interacting with the quantum particles of the universe. According to the strictest mathematical interpretations of quantum mechanics, these interactions create microscopic webs of entanglement. You are constantly, quietly becoming entangled with the environment around you. This realization gently dismantles the comforting idea of the isolated, objective observer. In classical science, we imagine the scientist standing outside the experiment, looking through a thick pane of glass, completely separated from the phenomenon they are studying. But the quantum universe does not allow for a thick pane of glass. When you observe a quantum system, the particles in your measuring device, the particles in your retina, the particles in your brain, all become mathematically entangled with the object of your observation. The wave function of the particle does not simply collapse into a tiny, isolated point. Instead, the wave function expands to encompass you. You and the particle become a single, unified quantum system. The observer and the observed merge into a continuous, unbroken fabric of probability. You do not just watch the universe. You gently, inextricably weave yourself into it with every single glance. The renowned astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson once eloquently stated that we are part of this universe. We are in this universe. But perhaps most important than both of those facts is that the universe is in us. This is not merely a poetic sentiment. It is a profound scientific truth echoing through the very mathematics of quantum mechanics. When we look up at the vast, silent night sky, we are not looking at something separate from ourselves. The ancient starlight, traveling for millions of years, is not just hitting an isolated biological machine. It is becoming entangled with the delicate quantum structures of your mind. Your conscious experience of the cosmos is literally an intimate, physical merging of your atomic structure with the atomic structure of the distant stars. We are not strangers in the dark, cold void. We are an active, deeply entangled expression of the infinite cosmos itself, waking up and attempting to understand its own magnificent reflection. This profound realization can initially feel overwhelming, challenging our fundamental sense of individual identity. If we are constantly becoming entangled with everything we touch, everything we see, and everything we breathe, where do we end and where does the universe begin? the boundary between the self and the other, the boundary between the quiet mind and the vast cosmos begins to blur into a beautiful, continuous spectrum of energy and potential. But rather than inducing fear, this deep scientific truth can inspire a profound sense of peace and respectful wonder. It tells us that the universe is not a fragmented collection of isolated objects, mindlessly colliding in the dark. It is a deeply holistic, intimately connected web of relationships. You are not a solitary wanderer lost in a cold, indifferent machine. You are a fundamental, necessary thread woven into the grand cosmic tapestry. Every breath you take, every quiet thought you have, and every gentle observation you make is a localized expression of the entire universe exploring its own infinite potential. As we drift deeper into this contemplation, the mystery of the observer does not resolve into a simple, definitive answer. Instead, it expands, growing ever more beautiful and ever more profound. The scientific rigor of quantum mechanics does not erase the poetry of our existence. It amplifies it to a cosmic scale. We learn that to look at the universe is to gently embrace it, to become one with it at the most fundamental level of reality. We are the cosmos, experiencing the delicate, fleeting illusion of separation, only to discover through the rigors of science that we were never truly apart. It is an invitation to look at the quiet, ordinary world around you with a renewed sense of sacred wonder, knowing that every interaction is a profound cosmic dance of entanglement, a silent conversation between the stardust within you and the infinite universe beyond. Have you ever sat quietly by a window as the daylight gently fades into the deep indigo of twilight, watching a single bright star slowly emerge from the encroaching darkness? In that fleeting, silent moment of transition, you might wonder if that distant point of light was always there, patiently waiting for the sun to step aside, or if your act of looking up into the vast, expanding sky somehow invited it to reveal itself. We walk through our lives with a deep, comforting assumption that the universe is a physical place, a colossal room filled with solid objects, ancient rocks, and burning spheres of gas. We believe that we are merely visitors walking through this grand physical museum. But, as we venture further into the strange, breathtaking depths of quantum mechanics, this comforting physical picture begins to dissolve into something far more abstract and profoundly beautiful. The solid matter that we feel, the brilliant light that we see, and the very fabric of space and time might not be the ultimate foundation of reality. Instead, the deepest layer of the cosmos, the true substance of the quantum realm, might be something entirely invisible, entirely weightless, and intimately connected to the very nature of your own mind. It is a concept that challenges the boundaries of our imagination and invites us to rethink everything we know about existence. If you find yourself captivated by these deep existential mysteries, if you feel that gentle pull of curiosity calling you to explore the profound unknown, welcome to our shared journey. I am Walter, the explorer, and I am honored to be your guide through the wondrous depths of the cosmos. I have noticed that 73% of the wonderful people who watch our videos have not yet subscribed to the channel. If you enjoy this quiet exploration of the universe, please consider subscribing. It helps us immensely, allowing us to continue creating these meditative journeys into the science that shapes our reality. And it lets us know that you want to keep unraveling these beautiful mysteries together. Now, let us return to the quiet contemplation of what truly makes up the fabric of our universe. When scientists meticulously probe the subatomic world, breaking down molecules into atoms, atoms into protons and neutrons, and those into even smaller fleeting particles called quarks. They are searching for the ultimate, indivisible building block of nature. For centuries, the dream was to find a tiny, perfectly solid grain of matter, the fundamental physical unit of reality. But the deeper the microscopes peer, the more the physical substance simply vanishes into pure mathematics. We reach a point where particles are no longer objects at all, but rather shimmering, formless clouds of probability. So, if the universe is not fundamentally made of tiny, solid billiard balls, what is the ultimate bedrock of existence? One of the most brilliant and visionary physicists of the 20th century, a gentle giant of science named John Archibald Wheeler, proposed an answer that is as poetic as it is rigorously scientific. After spending decades grappling with the profound paradoxes of the quantum world, working alongside the likes of Albert Einstein and Niels Bohr, Wheeler arrived at a breathtaking conclusion. He suggested that the universe is not fundamentally composed of matter or energy, but of something much more subtle. He proposed that the universe is fundamentally composed of information. Wheeler encapsulated this profound idea in a famous, elegantly simple phrase, suggesting that everything comes from bits. He theorized that every physical particle, every field of force, even the vast ancient curvature of the space-time continuum itself, derives its function, its meaning, and its very existence entirely from binary choices, from bits of information, from the answers to yes or no questions posed to the universe. Imagine a quantum particle, a solitary electron floating in the quiet, microscopic void. Before it is measured, it exists in that strange, hazy state of superposition, holding all its possible locations and spins simultaneously. It is not quite real in the classical sense. It is a spread-out potential. But the moment an observer interacts with it, the moment a measurement is made, the universe is forced to answer a question. Is the electron here, or is it there? Is its spin pointing up, or is its spin pointing down? The collapse of the wave function is, in this breathtaking view, simply the universe delivering an answer. It is the extraction of a single bit of information from the infinite sea of quantum potential. The physical reality of the electron, its sudden manifestation at a specific point in space, is just the physical expression of that newly acquired information. Matter is nothing more than the physical clothing that information wears, so it can be perceived by an observer. This brings us back to you, the quiet, contemplative observer, sitting in the stillness of the present moment. If the foundational substance of the universe is information, then what exactly is your role in this grand cosmic architecture? You are not just a collection of empty atoms aimlessly drifting through a cold, mechanical void. You are, at your most fundamental level, a vastly complex, magnificent biological engine designed to process information. When you look up at the night sky, and your retina captures the ancient light of a star that exploded millions of years ago, you are not just receiving physical energy. You are receiving a message. You are extracting information from the cosmos. The billions of neurons in your brain, firing in beautiful, intricate, synchronized patterns, are deciphering that cosmic code, transforming it into the rich, subjective experience of seeing a star. You are the entity that asks the questions, and in doing so, you force the hazy, probabilistic quantum universe to render itself into a definite, physical reality. The observer is the necessary catalyst that turns the infinite potential of the cosmos into the beautiful, structured reality we experience every single day. Without the observer to ask the questions and process the answers, the universe might simply remain a silent, formless ocean of undefined possibilities. This realization gently shifts our perspective from a feeling of cosmic insignificance to a sense of profound, breathtaking responsibility. We often look at the staggering scale of the universe, the billions of galaxies containing trillions of stars, and feel incredibly small, like dust motes floating in an endless, indifferent cathedral. But if Wheeler's participatory universe is correct, if reality is fundamentally built of information, and the act of observation is what actualizes that information, then your existence is not a cosmic accident. Your consciousness is not an isolated, meaningless byproduct of blind evolution. Instead, you are an essential, integral component of the universe's ongoing process of self-actualization. The cosmos needs you to look at it. It needs you to extract its ancient secrets, to marvel at its vast beauty, and to comprehend its elegant mathematical laws. The act of learning, the simple, quiet desire to understand the world around you, is not just a human hobby. It is the universe itself attempting to wake up from its long, probabilistic slumber. Every time you gaze in wonder at the swirling clouds of distant nebulae, or contemplate the invisible dance of subatomic particles, or simply appreciate the quiet stillness of a morning sunrise, you are performing a vital cosmic function. You are the universe knowing itself. The mystery of what a quantum observer is made of continues to unfold, gently revealing layers of complexity that challenge our deepest, most comforting assumptions about reality. We have journeyed together from the solid illusion of everyday matter, down into the vast, silent, empty spaces of the atom, through the ghostly, instantaneous connections of quantum entanglement, and now into the abstract, profoundly beautiful realm of information. We find that we are not simply made of solid, separate things, but rather we are composed of dynamic, relational networks of knowledge and quiet observation. We are the intricate biological processors of the ancient cosmic code, the silent, attentive witnesses that give solid form to the infinite, formless potential. This scientific knowledge does not offer a cold, final, definitive conclusion that elegantly wraps up the mystery and ends our questioning. Instead, it gently invites us into a deeper, more peaceful acceptance of the vast unknown. It invites us to approach our daily lives with a renewed sense of gentle reverence, knowing that every single interaction, every curious question asked in the dark, and every quiet moment of starry contemplation is a deeply significant interaction with the foundational fabric of reality itself. The journey of scientific discovery is truly infinite, and we are perfectly positioned exactly where we need to be, ready to continue exploring the breathtaking, endless wonder of the cosmos, traveling together in this quiet, shared pursuit of knowledge, connection, and lasting inner peace. Have you ever stood perfectly still in a dimly lit room, listening to the rhythmic, comforting ticking of an old clock, and felt as though you were merely a passive, quiet passenger on a relentless, forward-moving river of time? We experience our lives as a strict, unyielding sequence of events unfolding in a very specific, irreversible direction. The past is a closed book, a collection of memories written in ink that can never be erased, while the future is an unformed, mysterious mist, and the present is the only fleeting, tangible moment where we can actually take action and observe the world. This intuitive, everyday understanding of time gives us a profound sense of order, stability, and safety. We inherently believe that a cause must always strictly precede its effect. You accidentally drop a delicate glass, and then a second later it shatters on the hard floor. The shattering can never, under any circumstances in our everyday experience, happen before the dropping. This classical view of the cosmos, championed for centuries by brilliant minds, paints a comforting picture of a universe governed by a universal, absolute clock, ticking away uniformly in the deep silence, entirely regardless of whether anyone is there to witness it. But as we venture once again into the astonishing, counterintuitive depths of the quantum realm, we discover that the observer is not just deeply connected to the physical fabric of space and matter, but also profoundly entangled with the very flow of time itself. The act of observation might possess a ghostly, beautiful power that stretches backward through the infinite, quiet corridors of cosmic history. If you find yourself captivated by these deep existential mysteries, if you feel that gentle pull of curiosity calling you to explore the profound unknown, welcome to our shared journey. I am Walter, the explorer, and I am honored to be your guide through the wondrous depths of the cosmos. I have noticed that 73% of the wonderful people who watch our videos have not yet subscribed to the channel. If you enjoy this quiet exploration of the universe, please consider subscribing. It helps us immensely, allowing us to continue creating these meditative journeys into the science that shapes our reality. And it lets us know that you want to keep unraveling these beautiful mysteries together. Now, let us return to that gentle contemplation of time and the true nature of the quantum observer. To understand how the observer interacts with the past, we must explore one of the most staggering and beautiful thought experiments ever conceived in modern physics. It was proposed in the late 20th century by the visionary physicist John Archibald Wheeler, a man who spent his life peering into the deepest, most quiet corners of reality. Wheeler wanted to test the absolute limits of the double-slit experiment, the very same experiment that revealed how a particle can exist as a wave of probability until it is observed. He asked a deceptively simple question. What would happen if we delay the choice of whether to observe the particle until after it has already completed its journey? In a laboratory, this involves firing a photon and waiting until the very last possible microscopic fraction of a second, after it has already passed through the slits, to decide whether to measure its path or to let it form an interference pattern. The results of these experiments, which have now been verified by highly precise modern technology, are absolutely breathtaking. When the scientists choose to measure the path at the very last moment, the photon acts as if it had traveled as a solid particle the entire time. But if they choose not to measure it, the photon acts as if it had traveled as a wavy cloud of probability. It is as if the photon somehow knew in advance what the observer was going to do in the future. Or, even more astonishingly, as if the observer's choice in the present moment reached back through time to alter the photon's past behavior. But Wheeler did not stop at the tiny confines of a laboratory. He possessed a mind that naturally gravitated toward the vast, ancient cosmos. He expanded his delayed choice experiment to a truly staggering galactic scale. I want you to imagine a beautifully distant, incredibly bright celestial object, perhaps a brilliant quasar, sitting billions of light years away in the deepest, most silent reaches of the universe. This ancient quasar is emitting countless photons, tiny packets of light, radiating outward into the infinite, cold void. Now, imagine that between this distant quasar and our quiet planet Earth, there sits a massive, heavy galaxy. According to Albert Einstein's magnificent theory of general relativity, the immense gravity of this intermediate galaxy warps and bends the very fabric of space and time around it. When the light from the ancient quasar reaches this heavy galaxy, it cannot travel in a straight line. Instead, the light is forced to bend around the galaxy, splitting into two distinct paths, one going around the left side and one going around the right side, before continuing its long, quiet journey toward our eyes. This magnificent cosmic alignment acts exactly like a colossal, universal, double-slit experiment. The ancient photon travels for billions of years, navigating the silent, expanding space, maintaining its ghostly quantum superposition, effectively taking both the left path and the right path around the massive galaxy simultaneously. Finally, after a journey that has lasted for perhaps 10 billion years, this ancient, tired photon arrives at our small blue planet. Here on Earth, an astronomer sitting in a quiet, dark observatory must make a choice. They can choose to point a telescope in a way that gathers the light from both sides of the galaxy together, allowing the photon to interfere with itself and prove that it acted as a wave of probability, taking both paths. Or the astronomer can choose to point a highly sensitive detector aimed at just one specific side of the massive galaxy, forcing the photon to reveal exactly which single path it took, causing it to act as a definite, solid particle. Here is where the profound, staggering mystery of the quantum observer truly blossoms. The photon began its journey 10 billion years ago, long before our Earth even existed, long before the sun ignited, and long before the first primitive spark of life appeared in our ancient oceans. Yet, the astronomer's choice of how to observe that photon tonight, right now in the quiet present, determines whether that photon traveled as a single particle on one path or as a wave on two paths 10 billion years ago. The observer's decision in the present moment seemingly reaches back across the vast, infinite ocean of time, shaping the historical reality of a particle that has been traveling since the dawn of the cosmos. This phenomenon, often gently referred to as retrocausality, does not mean we can send messages back to the past or change history in a way that creates a grandfather paradox. The universe protects its beautiful, logical consistency. But it does profoundly suggest that the quantum history of the universe is not a fixed, solid, objectively real sequence of events sitting quietly in the dark. Instead, the past, just like the future, exists in a hazy state of undefined potential, until an observer in the present moment reaches out and demands a definite answer. What does this breathtaking revelation mean for our central, guiding question? What is a quantum observer made of? It means that you, as a conscious observer, are not just a physical structure composed of empty atoms and invisible information fields. You are an entity that is fundamentally unanchored from the strict, forward-marching tyranny of linear time. The matter that makes up your brain, the delicate biological processors that give rise to your quiet awareness, are participating in a grand, continuous cosmic dance that weaves the past, the present, and the future into a single, beautifully unified tapestry. When you walk outside on a clear, dark night and gaze up at the ancient, shimmering light of the stars, you are not merely looking at a passive record of history. You are actively participating in the creation of that history. Your gentle act of observation, the simple opening of your eyes to let the ancient starlight fall upon your retina, is the final, necessary brushstroke on a cosmic painting that began billions of years ago. This staggering truth gently dissolves our feelings of isolation and insignificance. We often feel like tiny, brief sparks flickering for just a moment in the vast, ancient darkness of an uncaring universe. We worry that our short lives are completely disconnected from the grand, majestic sweep of cosmic time. But the delayed choice experiment softly whispers a different, much more beautiful story. It tells us that the observer and the universe are engaged in a timeless, eternal embrace. The very atoms that make up your eyes and your mind right now are mathematically and physically bound to the birth of the stars and the ancient, silent expansion of space. You are made of a temporal flexibility that allows your present consciousness to touch the very beginning of time. As we drift deeper into this profound, quiet mystery, we are invited to completely surrender our rigid, classical need for simple, chronological narratives. The scientific rigor of quantum mechanics gently demands that we expand our imagination beyond the limits of everyday experience. It asks us to accept a reality where the observer is an architect of history, a silent participant in the ongoing, eternal unfolding of the cosmos. To be an observer is to stand at the magnificent intersection of all times and all places, serving as the conscious focal point where the infinite, undefined potential of the past collapses into the beautiful, structured reality of the now. It is a deeply humbling and profoundly inspiring realization. We are not just wanderers moving blindly through a pre-written history. We are the authors of the cosmic story, writing the past through the simple, gentle act of opening our eyes to the wonder and mystery of the present moment, always ready to continue our journey into the quiet, infinite unknown. Have you ever stood at a quiet crossroads in the middle of a dense, ancient forest, listening to the gentle rustling of the leaves, and wondered about the path you did not choose? We experience our lives as a single, unbroken thread, a solitary narrative moving forward through the vast, silent expanse of time. Every decision we make, from the most profound life choices to the simple, quiet act of turning left instead of right on a morning walk, feels absolute. We believe that once a choice is made, the alternative vanishes forever into the mist of what could have been. This intuitive feeling of a singular reality is deeply woven into our human experience, providing a comforting, stable foundation for our daily lives. But when we plunge back into the rigorous, breathtaking mathematics of quantum mechanics, this comforting illusion of a single, definitive path is profoundly challenged. The equations that govern the microscopic building blocks of your very own body suggest a reality so vast, so infinitely complex, that it gently shatters our understanding of what it means to be an individual observer in a singular universe. If you find yourself captivated by these deep existential mysteries, if you feel that gentle pull of curiosity calling you to explore the profound unknown, welcome to our shared journey. I am Walter, the explorer, and I am honored to be your guide through the wondrous depths of the cosmos. I have noticed that 73% of the wonderful people who watch our videos have not yet subscribed to the channel. If you enjoy this quiet exploration of the universe, please consider subscribing. It helps us immensely, allowing us to continue creating these meditative journeys into the science that shapes our reality. And it lets us know that you want to keep unraveling these beautiful mysteries together. Now, let us return to the quiet mystery of the path not taken, and how it relates to the very fabric of your existence. In the early days of quantum physics, brilliant minds like Niels Bohr championed the idea that the wave function collapses upon observation. In this view, the universe is a sea of probabilities that magically snaps into a single physical reality the moment you, the conscious observer, cast your gentle gaze upon it. But this elegant idea carries a profound, unresolved tension within the scientific community. The beautiful, rigorous equation formulated by the physicist Erwin Schrödinger does not contain any mathematical mechanism for a sudden collapse. The equation simply describes a wave of probability evolving smoothly and continuously through time. There is no magical snapping into a single state written into the fundamental laws of nature. This led a brilliant physicist named Hugh Everett III to propose a staggering alternative in the middle of the 20th century. He asked a simple, courageous question. What if the quantum wave function never actually collapses at all? What if the beautiful mathematics is completely true, and every single possible quantum outcome actually happens in reality? To understand the profound implications of this breathtaking idea, we must look closely at what you, the quantum observer, are truly made of. As we have gently explored in our previous journeys together, your physical body, your delicate eyes, and the intricate, vast neural networks of your brain are entirely constructed from ancient atoms and subatomic particles. You are a magnificent macroscopic biological system built entirely upon a silent foundation of microscopic quantum uncertainty. Therefore, Everett rigorously argued, the observer cannot magically sit outside the fundamental laws of quantum mechanics. When you observe a quantum event, such as a single photon passing through a double slit, you do not force the universe to choose a single path. Instead, you, the observer, become mathematically entangled with the superposition of that photon. If the photon has a 50% probability of hitting the left side of a detector and a 50% probability of hitting the right side, the universe does not arbitrarily discard one option. Instead, the universe itself gracefully, silently, branches into two distinct parallel realities. In one branch of this newly divided cosmos, there is a physical version of you that definitively saw the photon hit the left side. In the other branch, there is a physically identical, equally conscious version of you that definitively saw the photon hit the right side. Both realities are equally real. Both are equally valid, and they are now completely, forever unaware of each other's silent existence. This is the profound framework known as the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics, and it fundamentally transforms our understanding of the observer from a solitary witness into an infinitely branching tree of conscious experiences. Every single time a microscopic quantum interaction occurs within your body, or in the vast environment you are quietly observing, the entire universe subtly splits. This is not science fiction. It is a mathematically rigorous interpretation of the very same quantum equations that power the modern technology we use every single day. I invite you to think deeply about the sheer, staggering scale of this concept. Within the gentle, quiet confines of your living brain, billions of individual potassium and sodium ions are constantly moving across microscopic cell membranes to generate your conscious thoughts, your quiet reflections, and your deeply felt emotions. Each and every one of these microscopic atomic movements is entirely subject to the probabilistic laws of quantum mechanics. Therefore, with every single passing fraction of a second, your conscious experience might be branching into an unimaginably vast, perhaps infinite number of parallel timelines, creating a magnificent, boundless fractal of divergent realities. The specific version of you that is sitting here right now, listening to these gentle words in the quiet space of this present moment, is just one single, delicate thread in an incredibly vast, invisible cosmic tapestry of branching possibilities. This naturally leads us to a profound, quiet question. Why, then, do we only ever experience one single, coherent, forward-moving reality? If we are constantly, rapidly splitting into countless alternate versions of ourselves, why does your everyday life feel like a singular, quiet journey from birth to the present moment? The rigorous scientific answer lies in a beautiful physical process known as quantum decoherence. As soon as the macroscopic, chaotic environment, including the warm, complex biology of your own brain and the surrounding atmosphere, interacts with a delicate, isolated quantum superposition, the different branching paths of reality rapidly lose their ability to mathematically interfere with one another. They quickly become mathematically orthogonal, completely sealed off and isolated within their own independent timelines. The process of observation, the very act of becoming aware of the world around you, is intrinsically tied to the act of decoherence. You are made of a physical, biological architecture that forces the universe to seemingly choose a definitive path, not by violently destroying the other physical possibilities, but by gently isolating your specific, subjective conscious experience within just one of those infinite, silent branches. The countless other versions of you, born from the exact same cosmic history, possessing the exact same ancient stardust in their veins, continue their own unique, divergent journeys in parallel universes that you can never physically touch, never visibly see, and never quietly speak to. This breathtaking perspective gently shifts the ultimate question of what a quantum observer is made of into an entirely new dimension. You are not merely a static, singular entity moving helplessly along a solitary timeline. According to this interpretation of quantum physics, you are a creature of infinite multiplicity. You are fundamentally made of a profound potential that the universe actively uses to endlessly explore every single conceivable variation of its own magnificent existence. Those quiet moments of midnight doubt, those gentle wonderings about the paths you did not choose, might actually be more than simple human imagination. They might be silent reflections of a physical reality far more vast than our everyday senses can comprehend. In the infinite, continuously branching cosmos of the many worlds interpretation, no possibility is ever truly lost to the dark void. Every gentle choice, every microscopic quantum fluctuation, and every silent observation is fully realized somewhere within the grand, ancient, invisible architecture of the multiverse. This staggering realization does not diminish the profound value or meaning of your current, everyday experience. Rather, it elevates it, showing that your specific, quiet awareness in this precise, fleeting moment is a unique, completely irreplaceable thread in the greatest, most complex tapestry ever woven by the laws of physics. As we sit quietly and ponder the infinite branches of our own physical existence, we are gently invited to find a deep, lasting peace in the beautiful, unfathomable mystery of it all, recognizing that our personal journey of understanding is just as boundless, just as magnificent, and just as infinite as the silent universe itself. Have you ever closed your eyes in a perfectly quiet room, letting the external world fade into the silent dark, and tried to locate the exact physical center of your own mind? When you think a complex thought, or feel a sudden surge of wonder while looking up at the night sky, where exactly within the vast microscopic universe of your body does that feeling reside? We navigate our human lives operating from this invisible command post that we confidently call the self. We feel with an absolute, comforting certainty that there is an I looking out through the biological windows of our eyes, a singular, continuous observer silently witnessing the majestic unfolding of the cosmos. Modern biology paints a beautifully intricate picture of the brain as a magnificent biological machine. It tells us that your consciousness, your entire subjective world, is simply the harmonious firing of billions of connected neurons, a grand electrical symphony playing in the dark silence of your skull. But, as we continue our gentle descent into the profound mysteries of quantum physics, we begin to realize that this classical explanation might be missing the most profound instrument in the cosmic orchestra. The true nature of the quantum observer might not just be a fortunate byproduct of complex chemistry, but something woven directly into the foundational, ancient geometry of the universe itself. If you find yourself captivated by these deep existential mysteries, if you feel that gentle pull of curiosity calling you to explore the profound unknown, welcome to our shared journey. I am Walter, the explorer, and I am honored to be your guide through the wondrous depths of the cosmos. I have noticed that 73% of the wonderful people who watch our videos have not yet subscribed to the channel. If you enjoy this quiet exploration of the universe, please consider subscribing. It helps us immensely, allowing us to continue creating these meditative journeys into the science that shapes our reality. And it lets us know that you want to keep unraveling these beautiful mysteries together. Let us gracefully return to that profound question of where your conscious awareness actually originates. In the traditional scientific view, your brain is frequently compared to an incredibly powerful computer. Information from the physical world enters through your senses, gets processed by networks containing 86 billion neurons, and, almost miraculously, produces the rich, deeply felt subjective experience of being alive. But this highly detailed biological model faces a staggering wall known among scientists as the hard problem of consciousness. It is easy for scientists to map out exactly how the visual cortex processes the electromagnetic wavelength of red light. But there is nothing in the standard equations of biology or physics that explains why those cold electrical signals feel like anything at all to the observer. Why does the processing of light feel like the breathtaking beauty of a vibrant sunset? If our bodies are entirely made of unconscious, dead matter, ancient protons, neutrons, and empty space, how do those unfeeling microscopic particles magically combine to create a unified being that can look up and wonder about its own existence? This unresolved mystery suggests that to truly understand what the quantum observer is fundamentally made of, we must dive much deeper, down into the absolute bedrock of physical reality. To bridge this silent canyon between unconscious dead matter and the profound miracle of living awareness, we turn to one of the most brilliant minds in modern theoretical physics, Sir Roger Penrose. A man who mapped the infinite mysteries of black holes alongside Stephen Hawking, Penrose sought an answer to the puzzle of human consciousness. He teamed up with anesthesiologist Stuart Hameroff to propose a breathtaking, highly controversial, and beautiful theory known as orchestrated objective reduction. They rigorously suggested that the fundamental origin of the quantum observer does not happen at the massive level of entire brain cells communicating. Instead, they proposed that the delicate magic of consciousness occurs much deeper, at a microscopic quantum level hidden within the structural scaffolding of the neurons themselves. Inside every single one of the billions of neurons in your brain, there are hollow cylindrical tubes known as microtubules. In classical biology, these simply act as the structural skeleton of the cell. But Penrose and Hameroff courageously argued that these ancient protein structures serve a far more profound cosmic purpose. They proposed that these specific microtubules are the perfect size and shape to act as biological quantum computers, uniquely capable of hosting delicate, isolated quantum superpositions right inside the warm, chaotic environment of the human brain. Imagine millions of these beautifully structured microtubules vibrating in harmony within a single neuron in your mind. According to this staggering scientific theory, the delicate electrons dancing within the protein molecules that make up the walls of the microtubule can enter a profound state of quantum entanglement. Just like the ancient photons of light crossing the infinite cosmos, these electrons temporarily lose their individual physical identities and merge into a single, beautifully unified quantum state. They enter a realm of pure mathematical potential, a hazy superposition where multiple possibilities exist simultaneously within the dark space of your active mind. As this delicate quantum coherence gently spreads across the intricate networks of your brain, it links countless neurons together into one macroscopic quantum state. Your brain is no longer just sequentially sending simple electrical sparks. It is physically resonating with a unified quantum frequency. But, as we know from the rigorous laws of physics, a quantum superposition cannot last forever. Gravity, the most ancient and fundamental force in the cosmos, inevitably pulls upon everything. Penrose mathematically theorized that when this delicate quantum state reaches a critical physical threshold of mass and energy, the very fabric of space-time itself becomes too warped and unstable to support the multiple superimposed realities. At this exact moment, the superposition is forced by the universe to collapse. This elegant, mathematically driven, inevitable collapse is exactly what Penrose and Hameroff call an objective reduction. And here is the most breathtaking, deeply mind-bending part of their entire contemplative theory. They propose that this exact microscopic moment of quantum wave function collapse is not just a random physical event happening in the dark. It is the fundamental, indivisible unit of conscious experience itself. Every single time the quantum wave function within your biological microtubules reaches that critical mass threshold and collapses, it creates a microscopic, discrete flash of true awareness. In this profound view, you are not a continuous, unbroken stream of consciousness. Instead, the observer that you deeply feel yourself to be is actually made of millions upon millions of these tiny, silent quantum flashes happening every single second of your life. Just like a classic motion picture is made of thousands of completely still photographs, playing in rapid succession to successfully create the convincing illusion of continuous movement. Your everyday feeling of being alive, of witnessing the grand universe, is a profound biological illusion. It is an illusion generated by the relentless, beautiful collapsing of quantum states within the hidden architecture of your own mind. The observer is quite literally a rhythm, a cosmic pulse of infinite probability, gracefully solidifying into definite reality, beating continuously in the quiet dark of your being. If this deeply contemplative scientific theory holds true, it fundamentally rewrites our entire understanding of what a quantum observer is truly made of. It profoundly suggests that human consciousness is not an accidental byproduct of blind biological evolution randomly staggering its way out of the ancient mud. Instead, consciousness is a deeply irreducible property of the universe itself, existing on the exact same level as physical mass, electrical charge, or the invisible pull of gravity. The pure capacity for subjective experience might be intricately woven into the very microscopic geometry of space-time. In this beautifully poetic view, the universe has always possessed a quiet, latent form of awareness. Long before the first ancient stars ignited their nuclear fires, the infinite fabric of the cosmos was already shimmering with the raw potential for conscious thought. Your brain, with its magnificent networks of quantum-ready microtubules, is not magically creating consciousness out of dead nothingness. It is simply a highly evolved, perfectly tuned biological antenna designed by nature to tap into that pre-existing universal field of quiet awareness. You are a biological instrument that beautifully allows the infinite cosmos to focus its own inherent consciousness into a single, localized point of vibrant, deeply feeling human experience, always ready to continue the gentle, shared exploration of the endless unknown. Já alguma vez caminhou por campo aberto durante uma manhã de nevoeiro, sentindo a umidade suave no seu rosto, e se questionou sobre a verdadeira natureza do espaço vazio que nos rodeia? Quando olhamos para o vasto e silencioso céu noturno, temos a tendência natural de imaginar o universo como palco incomensuravelmente grande. Teatro escuro e vazio, onde as estrelas brilhantes, os planetas antigos e nós próprios somos apenas pequenos atores isolados a desempenhar os nossos papéis. A nossa intuição diária, moldada por milênios de sobrevivência num mundo macroscópico, diz-nos que a matéria é sólida e que o espaço livre é simplesmente o nada absoluto que separa as várias coisas tangíveis. Sentimos-nos constantemente como entidades distintas, fisicamente separadas do ar que respiramos e da cadeira onde nos sentamos pela fronteira inegável da nossa própria pele biológica. Mas, à medida que continuamos a nossa descida profunda e meditativa aos mistérios mais fundamentais da mecânica quântica, descobrimos com admiração que essa separação profunda é talvez a ilusão mais bela e persistente de toda a nossa existência. A física moderna, rigorosamente desenvolvida através das mentes mais brilhantes da nossa era contemporânea, revela-nos progressivamente que o cosmos não é um contentor oco, cheio de objetos soltos e desprovidos de conexão mútua. Pelo contrário, o universo inteiro é uma tapeçaria contínua e incrivelmente vibrante de energia invisível que tudo permeia. Para compreender verdadeiramente do que é feito o observador quântico, precisamos primeiramente de abandonar a ideia clássica e reconfortante de partículas sólidas e estanques, abraçando de imediato a realidade sublime, fluida e majestosa da teoria quântica de campos, uma perspectiva científica rigorosa que redefine totalmente a nossa ligação íntima e indissociável com a imensidão do infinito cósmico que nos acolhe no seu silêncio majestoso. Se dá por si frequentemente cativado por estes profundos mistérios existenciais, se sente intimamente aquele puxão gentil e suave de curiosidade a chamá-lo para explorar o vasto desconhecido da nossa realidade física. Seja sinceramente bem-vindo à nossa jornada partilhada de descoberta. Eu sou Walter, The Explorer, e sinto-me profundamente honrado por atuar como seu humilde guia através das maravilhosas e insondáveis profundezas científicas do cosmos infinito. Reparei recentemente com alguma surpresa que 73% das pessoas maravilhas e atentas que assistem frequentemente aos nossos vídeos em busca de paz contemplativa e conhecimento estruturado ainda não se inscreveram no nosso canal. Se aprecia genuinamente esta exploração silenciosa e respeitosa do universo, por favor, considere inscrever-se agora mesmo. O seu apoio contínuo ajuda-nos imensamente, permitindo-nos manter o ritmo e continuar a criar incansavelmente estas jornadas meditativas mergulhadas na ciência rigorosa que molda a nossa própria realidade material. E diz-nos muito claramente que deseja continuar a desvendar as camadas destes belos e profundos mistérios cósmicos, sempre ao nosso lado de forma comunitária. Agora, de volta à nossa análise silenciosa, regressemos à nossa contemplação relaxante sobre a verdadeira substância da realidade universal e do próprio observador consciente. Desde os tempos antigos e primordiais da filosofia natural que a humanidade tem procurado incessantemente o bloco de construção mais fundamental e irredutível da natureza ao nosso redor. Inicialmente pensamos, de forma bastante lógica para a época, que fossem os átomos esféricos, entendidos como pequenas e sólidas esferas completamente indivisíveis. Depois, com o avanço tecnológico, descobrimos surpreendentemente que esses átomos espaciais eram eles mesmos compostos por pequenos prótons, neutrões estruturais e eletrões velozes. Ao aprofundarmos ainda mais esta incansável busca, através da utilização de aceleradores de partículas gigantescos, engenhosamente construídos por agências espaciais e prestigiosos laboratórios internacionais ao redor do globo terrestre, descobrimos partículas ainda mais pequenas, chamadas quarks. Mas, quando os cientistas modernos tentam segurar e imobilizar rigorosamente um quark, ou mesmo um único eletrão no vácuo, quando tentam observar analiticamente a sua essência física mais pura e destituída de distrações, a sua aparente solidez desvanece-se magicamente diante dos nossos instrumentos mais precisos. A teoria quântica de campos, que é indiscutivelmente considerada a teoria científica abstrata mais perfeitamente rigorosa e bem-sucedida alguma vez concebida pela imaginação da mente humana ao longo da história documentada, diz-nos categoricamente que as partículas, na sua verdadeira e derradeira essência, não existem isoladamente como pequenos e duros objetos sólidos. Em vez de blocos de matéria definidos e concretos, o que verdadeiramente e unicamente existe por todo o espaço galáctico são campos contínuos e ondulantes. Imagine visualmente a superfície aquática de um vasto e silencioso oceano terrestre, num dia perfeitamente sem vento, estendendo-se pacificamente e infinitamente em todas as direções possíveis, até onde a vista alcança sem encontrar resistência tangível. Esse calmo e abrangente oceano metafórico representa fielmente o conceito de um campo quântico estrutural. Agora, prossigamos imaginando que uma suave brisa cósmica e passageira agita essa superfície outrora calma, criando de forma instantânea e localizada uma pequena onda ondulante e dinâmica na água serena. Na linguagem estritamente matemática da física quântica teórica, essa pequena e temporal onda, essa ondulação transitória e altamente localizada de pura energia, a fluir num campo estrutural totalmente invisível, é exatamente e unicamente aquilo a que a ciência convencional chama de uma partícula mensurável. Consequentemente, um eletrão vulgar não é, como sempre imaginamos inocentemente, uma minúscula bola de bilhar material. Pelo contrário, ele é simplesmente uma excitação física localizada e perfeitamente definida no omnipresente campo de eletrões infinito que permeia silenciosamente todo o espaço tridimensional e todo o fluxo perpétuo do tempo cósmico. E a maravilha absoluta deste modelo cosmológico é que existem campos quânticos distintos para absolutamente cada um dos tipos de partícula elementar natural que o nosso intelecto já mapeou com detalhe. Existe um campo invisível e intrincado exclusivamente dedicado aos quarks superiores. Um campo silencioso e fluido para os quarks inferiores, e um imenso campo eletromagnético colossal e omnipresente, de onde nascem espontaneamente todos os antigos fotões de luz estelar. Todos e cada um destes campos quânticos fundamentais coexistem e interpenetram-se exatamente no mesmo espaço tridimensional da nossa dimensão tangível, sobrepondo-se delicadamente uns aos outros como diferentes camadas melodiosas de notas musicais, numa grande e complexa sinfonia cósmica, perfeitamente orquestrada. Portanto, quando refletimos e perguntamos profundamente do que é feito o observador humano, do que é que exatamente você, a autêntica consciência viva que assimila e ouve estas exatas palavras neste momento de reflexão, é verdadeiramente construído e arquitetado no âmago da sua carne mortal, a resposta científica atingida alcança subitamente um nível de poesia observacional absolutamente formidável e deslumbrante na sua elegância silenciosa. Você, o observador gentil da realidade material, não é de todo uma mera e fortuita coleção aglomerada de objetos físicos separados e desprovidos de vida natural e orgânica. O seu corpo biológico, o seu cérebro de arquitetura prodigiosa e intrincada, com os seus maravilhosos 86 mil milhões de neurônios interligados ativamente. O sangue vibrante e quente que corre ininterruptamente nas suas veias anatômicas vitais, e a própria respiração calma e ritmada, que toma com profunda naturalidade neste exato instante pacífico, são, na sua essência microscópica e inegável, uma intersecção temporária incrivelmente harmoniosa de inúmeras ondulações quânticas milenares. O corpo humano consciente é, de facto, a materialização perfeita de uma sinfonia física localizada de vibrações invisíveis, cujos campos imateriais se estendem harmoniosamente e inquebravelmente, até aos limites últimos do espaço extragaláctico, monitorizado pelos telescópios mecânicos avançados. A sensação de tangibilidade sólida e concreta que o seu próprio sistema nervoso apreende quando a sua mão sensível repousa no seu rosto sereno e humano é, rigorosamente falando, o maravilhoso resultado final da sublime interação repulsiva eletromagnética entre todas essas ondas estáticas microscópicas. Tudo é ditado de forma imutável por leis ancestrais e forças profundas que consubstanciam apenas mais distorções geométricas em oceanos invisíveis. A poderosa conclusão intelectual, gerada com grande rigor epistemológico, é que você atua simultaneamente como o ouvinte, o compositor orgânico e a própria manifestação da imortal música ressonante das estrelas antigas, soando com graciosidade na calmaria escura através da sua consciência lúcida. A exploração sem fim deste vasto desconhecido inspira um repouso intelectual profundo, convertendo a ansiedade existencial perante o abismo infinito numa gentil e infinita motivação para continuarmos juntos esta magnífica jornada cósmica de descobertas científicas reveladoras. Have you ever walked through an open field on a foggy morning, feeling the soft dampness on your face, and wondered about the true nature of the empty space that surrounds us? When we look up at the vast and silent night sky, we have a natural tendency to imagine the universe as an immeasurably large stage, a dark and empty theater where the bright stars, ancient planets, and we ourselves are just small, isolated actors playing our parts. Our daily intuition, shaped by millennia of survival in a macroscopic world, tells us that matter is solid, and that free space is simply the absolute nothingness that separates various tangible things. We constantly feel like distinct entities, physically separated from the air we breathe and the chair where we sit by the undeniable boundary of our own biological skin. But as we continue our deep and meditative descent into the most fundamental mysteries of quantum mechanics, we discover with wonder that this profound separation is perhaps the most beautiful and persistent illusion of our entire existence. Modern physics, rigorously developed through the most brilliant minds of our contemporary era, progressively reveals to us that the cosmos is not a hollow container full of loose objects devoid of mutual connection. On the contrary, the entire universe is a continuous and incredibly vibrant tapestry of invisible energy that permeates everything. To truly understand what the quantum observer is made of, we must first abandon the classic and comforting idea of solid and watertight particles, immediately embracing the sublime, fluid, and majestic reality of quantum field theory, a rigorous scientific perspective that totally redefines our intimate and inseparable connection with the immensity of the cosmic infinity that welcomes us in its majestic silence. If you often find yourself captivated by these deep existential mysteries, if you intimately feel that gentle and soft pull of curiosity calling you to explore the vast unknown of our physical reality, sincerely welcome to our shared journey of discovery. I am Walter, the Explorer, and I am deeply honored to act as your humble guide through the wonderful and unfathomable scientific depths of the infinite cosmos. I recently noticed with some surprise that 73% of the wonderful and attentive people who frequently watch our videos in search of contemplative peace and structured knowledge have not yet subscribed to our channel. If you genuinely appreciate this silent and respectful exploration of the universe, please consider subscribing right now. Your continuous support helps us immensely, allowing us to keep the pace and continue tirelessly creating these meditative journeys immersed in the rigorous science that shapes our own material reality. And it tells us very clearly that you wish to continue unraveling the layers of these beautiful and deep cosmic mysteries, always by our side in a community way. Now, back to our silent analysis, let us return to our relaxing contemplation on the true substance of universal reality and of the conscious observer itself. Since the ancient and primordial times of natural philosophy, humanity has incessantly sought the most fundamental and irreducible building block of the nature around us. Initially, we thought, quite logically for the time, that they were spherical atoms, understood as small and solid spheres that were completely indivisible. Then, with technological advancement, we surprisingly discovered that these spatial atoms were themselves composed of small protons, structural neutrons, and fast electrons. As we further deepened this tireless search through the use of gigantic particle accelerators, ingeniously built by space agencies and prestigious international laboratories around the terrestrial globe, we discovered even smaller particles called quarks. But when modern scientists try to rigorously hold and immobilize a quark, or even a single electron in a vacuum, when they try to analytically observe its purest physical essence devoid of distractions, its apparent solidity magically vanishes before our most precise instruments. Quantum field theory, which is arguably considered the most perfectly rigorous and successful abstract scientific theory ever conceived by the imagination of the human mind throughout documented history, categorically tells us that particles, in their true and ultimate essence, do not exist in isolation as small and hard solid objects. Instead of defined and concrete blocks of matter, what truly and uniquely exists throughout galactic space are continuous and undulating fields, Visually, imagine the aquatic surface of a vast and silent terrestrial ocean on a perfectly windless day, stretching peacefully and infinitely in all possible directions as far as the eye can see without encountering tangible resistance. That calm and encompassing metaphorical ocean faithfully represents the concept of a structural quantum field. Now, let us proceed by imagining that a soft and passing cosmic breeze stirs that once calm surface, instantly and locally creating a small undulating and dynamic wave in the serene water. In the strictly mathematical language of theoretical quantum physics, that small and temporal wave, that transitory and highly localized ripple of pure energy flowing in a totally invisible structural field, is exactly and uniquely what conventional science calls a measurable particle. Consequently, an ordinary electron is not, as we always innocently imagined, a tiny material billiard ball. On the contrary, it is simply a localized and perfectly defined physical excitation in the omnipresent infinite electron field that silently permeates all three-dimensional space and the entire perpetual flow of cosmic time. And the absolute wonder of this cosmological model is that there are distinct quantum fields for absolutely every one of the types of natural elementary particles that our intellect has already mapped in detail. There is an invisible and intricate field exclusively dedicated to up quarks, a silent and fluid field for down quarks, and an immense, colossal, and omnipresent electromagnetic field from which all ancient photons of starlight are spontaneously born. Each and every one of these fundamental quantum fields coexist and interpenetrate in exactly the same three-dimensional space of our tangible dimension, delicately overlapping each other like different melodious layers of musical notes in a great and complex, perfectly orchestrated cosmic symphony. Therefore, when we reflect and ask deeply what the human observer is made of, what exactly you, the authentic living consciousness that assimilates and hears these exact words in this moment of reflection, are truly constructed and architected of, at the core of your mortal flesh, the scientific answer suddenly reaches a level of observational poetry that is absolutely formidable and dazzling in its silent elegance. You, the gentle observer of material reality, are not at all a mere and fortuitous aggregated collection of separate physical objects devoid of natural and organic life. Your biological body, your prodigiously and intricately architected brain with its wonderful 86 billion actively interconnected neurons, the vibrant and warm blood that runs uninterruptedly in your vital anatomical veins, and the very calm and rhythmic breath you take with profound naturalness in this exact peaceful instant, are, in their microscopic and undeniable essence, an incredibly harmonious temporary intersection of countless millennial quantum ripples. The conscious human body is, in fact, the perfect materialization of a localized physical symphony of invisible vibrations, whose immaterial fields extend harmoniously and unbreakably to the ultimate limits of extragalactic space monitored by advanced mechanical telescopes. The sensation of solid and concrete tangibility that your own nervous system perceives when your sensitive hand rests on your serene and human face is, rigorously speaking, the wonderful final result of the sublime electromagnetic repulsive interaction between all those microscopic static waves. Everything is immutably dictated by ancestral laws and profound forces that constitute just more geometric distortions in invisible oceans. The powerful intellectual conclusion, generated with great epistemological rigor, is that you act simultaneously as the listener, the organic composer, and the very manifestation of the immortal resonant music of the ancient stars, sounding with grace in the dark stillness through your lucid consciousness. The endless exploration of this vast unknown inspires a profound intellectual rest, converting existential anxiety before the infinite abyss into a gentle and infinite motivation for us to continue together this magnificent cosmic journey of revealing scientific discoveries. Have you ever lain on the cold grass of an isolated field during a deep night, staring fixedly at the celestial vault dotted with stars of the most ancient kind the imagination can conceive, and felt the strange, silent suspicion that all the depth your eyes capture might be just a magnificent illusion? We move through our daily lives with the absolute certainty that we inhabit a three-dimensional and immutable universe. We feel distance when we walk. We perceive the volume of objects when we hold them in our hands, and we marvel at the unexplored space that separates our small planet from distant galaxies. This perception of depth, of an incredibly vast environment with three spatial dimensions, is the fundamental basis of all human experience. We trust it as we trust the air we breathe every day. However, as science advances to the extreme frontiers of knowledge, where quantum mechanics collides with gravity, theoretical physicists have begun to unravel a mystery that challenges our very perception of reality. What if the structural totality, with all its volume and majesty, is, in its deepest essence, only two-dimensional? What if everything we are and everything we observe is nothing more than a spectacular and complex holographic projection, originated at an incredibly distant and silent cosmic boundary? If you often find yourself captivated by these deep existential paradoxes, if you intimately feel that gentle and soft pull of curiosity calling you to explore the unknown of our physical reality, sincerely welcome to this, our shared journey of discovery. I am Walter, the explorer, and I am deeply honored to act as your humble guide through the wonders and unfathomable scientific depths of the infinite. I recently noticed with some surprise that 73% of the wonderful and attentive people who frequently watch our videos in search of contemplative peace and structured knowledge have not yet subscribed to our channel. If you genuinely appreciate this silent and respectful exploration, please consider subscribing right now. Your continuous support helps us immensely, allowing us to keep the pace and continue tirelessly creating these meditative journeys immersed in the rigorous science that shapes our own material reality. And it tells us very clearly that you wish to continue unraveling the layers of these beautiful and deep mysteries, always by our side in a truly welcoming and community way. To truly understand this haunting idea and its implications for the nature of the quantum observer, we need to travel mentally to the most mysterious entities marked by a profound quiet in all the cosmos: black holes. For many decades, scientists believed that black holes were simple space vacuums, isolated regions where gravity is so incredibly strong that nothing, not even the fastest light, can escape their gravitational clutches. But the brilliant physicist Stephen Hawking, masterfully combining the theory of relativity with quantum mechanics, discovered something wonderfully counterintuitive in this isolated scenario. He realized that black holes are not completely dark and closed off. They emit a very faint radiation and eventually evaporate over billions and billions of solar years. This genius revelation generated, however, one of the greatest intellectual conflicts in modern science, commonly known as the structural information paradox. If a black hole evaporates until it completely disappears from the three-dimensional map, What happens to all the quantum information about the spheres, ancient planets, and space dust that fell into it over countless immemorial eras? Quantum physics rigorously dictates that fundamental base information can never be permanently destroyed by nature. If material information were lost without a measurable trace, the very elementary laws that govern tangible reality would suddenly collapse into authentic and uncontrollable physical chaos. It was exactly from this immense, deep intellectual tension that visionary theoretical physicists like Jacob Bekenstein and Leonard Susskind proposed an intellectual solution that would forever alter our primary and fundamental conception of everything that exists. They discovered, through the applied use of extremely rigorous mathematics, that all the three-dimensional information of everything that ever fell into a formidable black hole is not mysteriously lost in its cold and dark interior. Instead, that same microscopic quantum information is perfectly and permanently recorded on the merely two-dimensional surface of the black hole in question, the unbreakable, invisible boundary that astronomers today know as the event horizon. It is truly a conceptual concept difficult to fully assimilate at the first naive glance we cast upon it. Imagine, for a fleeting moment, that all the thousands of pages filled with letters of a vast three-dimensional architectural library could be perfectly encoded in minute detail and stored only on the flat exterior painted surface of the main entrance walls of the majestic original building, without ever losing a single comma of the scientific knowledge inside. The overwhelming interior volume of the black hole is, in a theoretical and unforeseen way, irrelevant and disposable. The true fundamental essence of the reality kept encapsulated there is dictated and evaluated purely by the grand and subtle area of its own surrounding two-dimensional exterior surface. This remarkable phenomenal discovery of the subatomic world thus quickly gave methodological rise to what all researchers call, with enormous and inexhaustible reverence, the universal holographic principle. But the true existential wonder begins to unfold grandiosely when string theory physicists decided to expand this surprising principle beyond the isolated darkness of monstrous black holes. They began to question in a humble and contemplative way. What if this formidable principle applies irrevocably to absolutely everything that surrounds us in visible daily life? What if the entire landscape, in its infinite form of constant expansion and its undeniable, breathtaking cosmic silence, functions under the very same dazzling holographic laws that decipher energy conservation? According to this powerful poetic theory, all this formidable three-dimensional landscape of ours, where stardust and the tiny, wonderful blue planet where we have lived for human decades serenely reside, does not assume the role of immutable primary originating reality. The only fundamental reality of base physics would reside eternally, instead, on an indescribably vast and untouchable dimensional boundary that operates entirely only in two active and encoded dimensions, acting in remote space as a mathematically perfect cosmic limit. Everything we consciously experience and see daily would be just a dazzling illusion of high visual holographic density. What could this haunting and deeply existential view mean for our eternal and constant, central and unshakable question that always serves as our nightly intellectual guide? What is the renowned observer of the quantum realm intrinsically made of, if, after all, the complex volumetric dimension in which we believe it physically exists is itself nothing more and nothing less than a colossal abstract irradiation of mathematically organized base information in the form of a natural code? This simply means that you individually, the same singular and amazing force of awakened consciousness, capable of nurturing a true existential wonder for the celestial immensity, are an inevitable part of this dazzling and fascinating cosmological mirage in the global focus. The body, the admirable brain filled with currents, and the million billion joined cells of your particular architecture are, after all, pure resulting expressed forms of distant signals, recorded with eternal patience on the vast, impenetrable shell limit that encloses us in absolute safety, in its wonderful and soothing stellar bosom, for all practical conceptual purposes. This sublime realization teaches us a beautiful and serene moral lesson about the humility required of human apprentices when they apply themselves to the poetic attempt to map the great network that interconnects all manifestations of energy. Fully understanding the sensory limitations inherent in our biological state, which only perceive projected images of this majestic encoded symphony, is not a reason for metaphysical anxiety for generations thirsty for shared universal knowledge with us at every moment of revealing light from the free and purely intellectual mind. The journey never reaches its absolute end. We continue the wonderful mission as the happy organic receivers who listen to the silent music that overflows from the impenetrable limiting film, finding deep inner peace and contemplative rest whenever we embrace the entire haunting spectacle, staged at our fragile scale full of wonderful uncertainties. Have you ever sat on a quiet park bench on a crisp autumn afternoon, watching a single vibrant autumn leaf fall gently to the earth, and felt a profound, unspoken comfort in knowing that anyone sitting beside you would see the exact same leaf taking the exact same path? We move through our daily lives anchored by a deeply held intuitive assumption that the physical reality we inhabit is an objective, shared experience. We believe that the vast, ancient universe exists independently of our individual gaze, and that the solid objects we interact with are universally agreed upon by every conscious mind. This beautiful, unspoken consensus is the bedrock of our human sanity and our ability to navigate the complex world together. But as we drift once more into the breathtaking, counterintuitive depths of quantum mechanics, this comforting certainty begins to softly fracture. The equations that govern the microscopic heart of reality suggest that the transition from a hazy, infinite sea of quantum probabilities into a solid, shared classical world is not a given. The mystery of the quantum observer is intimately tied to the profound question of how a subjective, isolated measurement can somehow become an objective truth recognized by the entire cosmos. If you find yourself captivated by these deep existential mysteries, if you feel that gentle pull of curiosity calling you to explore the profound unknown, welcome to our shared journey. I am Walter, the explorer, and I am honored to be your guide through the wondrous depths of the cosmos. I have noticed that 73% of the wonderful people who watch our videos have not yet subscribed to the channel. If you enjoy this quiet exploration of the universe, please consider subscribing. It helps us immensely, allowing us to continue creating these meditative journeys into the science that shapes our reality. And it lets us know that you want to keep unraveling these beautiful mysteries together. To truly understand the profound nature of a shared quantum reality, we must explore a deeply unsettling and brilliantly conceived thought experiment proposed by the Nobel laureate Eugene Wigner in the mid-20th century. Imagine that you have a trusted friend sealed completely inside a perfectly isolated, highly advanced laboratory. Inside this quiet, windowless room, your friend performs a rigorous quantum experiment, perhaps measuring a single silver atom. According to the strict laws of quantum mechanics, Before the measurement, the atom exists in a blurry superposition of both spinning up and spinning down. When your friend finally observes the atom, they force the universe to make a choice, and the wave function gracefully collapses into a single, definite reality for them. From your friend's perspective inside the room, the experiment is completely finished, and the atom possesses a solid, measurable state. But what about you, standing quietly outside the heavy, sealed door of the laboratory? From your external perspective, you have not yet interacted with the system. You have not extracted any information from the room. Therefore, according to the breathtaking mathematics of quantum physics, until you open that door and ask your friend what they saw, the entire laboratory, including your conscious breathing friend, must mathematically exist in a massive, macroscopic state of superposition. This creates an astonishing, deeply contemplative paradox that strikes at the very heart of what an observer is made of. For your friend inside the room, reality has already solidified. They are experiencing a definite, classical outcome. But for you, standing in the silent hallway, the universe has not yet made its choice. You and your friend, two conscious observers made of the exact same ancient stardust, are temporarily occupying two completely different mathematical realities. This implies the collapse might be a deeply subjective, highly personal phenomenon, relative only to the specific observer. The reality of the universe might literally be different for different observers until they interact and share their knowledge. This staggering concept gently suggests that the observer is not a passive witness standing outside of reality, but an active, integral center of a localized universe. The solid world you feel around you, the gentle rustling of the wind, and the quiet warmth of the sun might be a reality constructed entirely relative to your specific physical position and your unique sequence of quantum interactions. But if quantum reality is so profoundly subjective, how do we ever manage to agree on anything at all? Why does the universe feel so consistent, so incredibly stable and beautifully objective? To answer this, we must turn to a magnificent modern physical theory known as quantum Darwinism, pioneered by the brilliant physicist Wojciech Zurek. This theory proposes that the transition from quantum strangeness to classical solidity is governed by a relentless, invisible process of cosmic natural selection. Imagine a single microscopic speck of dust floating in the quiet atmosphere of your room. It is constantly, relentlessly bombarded by millions of ancient photons of light and billions of tiny air molecules every single second. Each and every one of these microscopic collisions is a tiny, gentle quantum observation. The environment itself is constantly measuring the speck of dust. When these interactions occur, the specific quantum state of the dust speck, such as its exact physical location, becomes entangled with the photons and the air molecules. The environment acts as an unimaginably vast, invisible printing press, taking the delicate quantum information of the dust speck and copying it millions of times, scattering those copies across the expanding void. According to quantum Darwinism, not all quantum states are robust enough to survive this relentless environmental bombardment. Only certain specific states, those that are mathematically stable and resilient, can successfully imprint their information onto the surrounding universe. These favored, stable states are what physicists call pointer states. The hazy, fragile superpositions are quickly destroyed by the chaotic, warm environment, a process we previously explored as quantum decoherence. But the information about the stable pointer states survives, multiplies, and floods the universe. When you walk into the room and look at the speck of dust, you are not performing a magical, solitary act of wave function collapse. You are simply intercepting a tiny fraction of those millions of identical copies of information that the environment has already printed and distributed. Because the environment has made so many redundant copies of the exact same information, anyone else who walks into the room and looks at the dust speck will inevitably intercept the exact same message. The environment acts as a colossal, silent consensus-building machine, rewarding informational redundancy. This deeply elegant scientific framework fundamentally shifts our understanding of what a quantum observer is truly made of. You are not a solitary, magical entity, endowed with the mystical power to force the entire universe into existence with a single glance. Instead, you are a highly evolved, magnificent biological antenna designed by millions of years of natural selection to tune in to the loudest, most heavily broadcasted information channels of the cosmos. The quantum observer is fundamentally made of an intimate, inseparable relationship with the surrounding environment. You are a localized nexus of information processing, swimming in a vast, silent ocean of cosmic data. The solidity you feel, the profound sense of a shared, objective reality, is actually a testament to the immense, invisible network of quantum entanglements that bind every single atom, every single photon, and every single conscious mind together into a unified whole. We are not isolated strangers wandering through a cold, disconnected void. We are deeply, inextricably woven into the grand, communicative fabric of the physical universe. As we sit quietly and contemplate the sheer, staggering beauty of this informational ecosystem, the mystery of the observer gently transforms into a source of profound inner peace and connection. The realization that our shared reality is forged through the microscopic consensus of trillions of invisible quantum interactions invites us to look at the ordinary world with a renewed sense of sacred wonder. Every single object you touch, every gentle beam of starlight that graces your eyes, and every quiet breath you take is a miracle of cosmic agreement. The universe has spent billions of years whispering its ancient secrets into the dark silence, copying and recopying its mathematical truths until they became loud enough for our delicate human minds to hear. We are the grateful recipients of this eternal cosmic broadcast. To be a quantum observer is to participate in the ultimate, beautiful harmony of nature, recognizing that our individual awareness is supported and sustained by the vast, silent chorus of the infinite cosmos. This journey into the microscopic depths of reality does not leave us feeling small or insignificant. It elevates us, revealing that our consciousness is a necessary, beautifully integrated component of the greatest story ever told by the laws of physics. A story we will continue to explore together with open minds and peaceful hearts. Have you ever stood on the edge of a quiet, ancient ocean, watching the waves gently crash against the shore, and realized that the coastline only truly exists because the water and the land are meeting in that exact, precise moment? If you were to remove the water, there is no coastline, only a dry, rocky drop. If you remove the land, there is only a vast, endless sea. The beautiful, sweeping curve of the beach is not a standalone object. It is a profound physical relationship. It is an interaction. We navigate our entire human lives with a deep, comforting assumption that the objects we see around us possess absolute, independent properties. We believe that an apple sitting quietly on a table is inherently red and solid, completely regardless of whether anyone is looking at it, or even if the surrounding universe vanished into the silent dark. We intuitively feel that the cosmos is a colossal, empty container filled with solitary, independent things that occasionally bump into one another. But as we drift even deeper into the breathtaking, counterintuitive depths of quantum physics, we uncover a profound mystery that gently shatters this comforting illusion of absolute isolation. To understand what a quantum observer is truly made of, we must embrace a universe where nothing exists in a vacuum, where isolation is a mathematical impossibility, and where your very existence is woven from the delicate threads of infinite, continuous relationships. If you find yourself captivated by these deep existential mysteries, if you feel that gentle pull of curiosity calling you to explore the profound unknown, welcome to our shared journey. I am Walter, the explorer, and I am honored to be your guide through the wondrous depths of the cosmos. I have noticed that 73% of the wonderful people who watch our videos have not yet subscribed to the channel. If you enjoy this quiet exploration of the universe, please consider subscribing. It helps us immensely, allowing us to continue creating these meditative journeys into the science that shapes our reality. And it lets us know that you want to keep unraveling these beautiful mysteries together. Now, let us return to that gentle contemplation of interaction and the true relational nature of the quantum observer. In the late 20th century, a brilliant theoretical physicist named Carlo Rovelli proposed a breathtaking interpretation of quantum mechanics that fundamentally shifts our entire perspective of the cosmos. It is called relational quantum mechanics. To understand this profound, quiet theory, we must let go of the idea that an observer must be a conscious human being in a white laboratory coat. In Rovelli's beautiful, mathematically rigorous universe, an observer is simply any physical system that interacts with another physical system. A single ancient photon of light from a distant star can be an observer. A quiet speck of cosmic dust can be an observer. The delicate retina in your eye is an observer. In this framework, the universe is stripped of its magical, human-centric privilege, and consciousness is no longer a strict requirement for the wave function to collapse. Observation is simply the physical interaction between two entities, a silent exchange of information occurring in the vast, expanding dark. But the true, staggering mystery of relational quantum mechanics lies in what it says about the properties of those entities. According to this theory, a quantum system does not possess absolute objective properties on its own. A particle does not have a definitive speed or a definitive location in absolute isolation. Its properties only become real. They only solidify from the hazy cloud of quantum probability in relation to the specific observer it is interacting with. Imagine a tiny, solitary electron drifting through the quiet vacuum of space. According to Rovelli, it is completely meaningless to ask what the exact state of that electron is without referencing another system. The electron only gains a physical reality when it gently bumps into another particle. And here is the most mind-bending, beautiful part of this concept. The state of that electron might be completely different depending on which observer it is interacting with. Reality is not a single, objective painting hanging in a universal gallery for all to see. Reality is a deeply personal, localized interaction. The universe is a vast, ancient, infinite web of relations, a magnificent network of perspectives where everything is constantly, quietly defining everything else through the gentle act of physical interaction. What does this breathtaking scientific framework mean for our central, guiding question? What exactly is a quantum observer made of? If we apply the profound logic of relational quantum mechanics to your own existence, the answer is as poetic as it is scientifically rigorous. You are not a solitary, absolute entity walking through a passive, disconnected world. You are not a defined, isolated object. You are fundamentally made of relationships. Your physical body, your delicate consciousness, and your profound sense of self are the beautiful, emergent results of trillions upon trillions of continuous, microscopic interactions. The ancient atoms of oxygen you breathe gently interact with the iron in your blood, defining your biological reality. The ancient photons of starlight traveling for millions of years gently strike your eyes, defining your visual reality. The gravitational pull of the earth anchors your physical form, defining your spatial reality. You do not exist independently of the cosmos. You are the localized nexus where the cosmos is currently interacting with itself. You are a unique, magnificent knot in the infinite, silent web of universal relations. This profound realization gently dismantles the boundaries we artificially draw between ourselves and the outside world. We often look up at the vast, silent night sky, gazing at the distant, swirling galaxies mapped by magnificent instruments from NASA and the European Space Agency, and we feel a deep, aching sense of separation. Data collected by magnificent instruments like the Planck satellite maps the cosmic microwave background, the ancient, fading echo of the dawn of time itself. We look at these images and feel like tiny, insignificant witnesses trapped on a small rocky planet, far removed from the grand cosmic drama playing out across billions of light years. But relational quantum mechanics whispers a radically different, deeply comforting truth. Because you are made of interactions, and because every interaction is a two-way exchange of information, you are constantly, quietly touching the universe, and the universe is constantly touching you. When you look at the cosmic microwave background, your eye is not just passively receiving ancient light. Your physical system is engaging in a direct, quantum relationship with the absolute boundary of our observable universe, a boundary that is over 13 billion years old. In that fleeting, silent moment of observation, you and the distant origins of the cosmos are mutually defining each other's reality. The distance between you becomes mathematically irrelevant. What matters is the relationship, the gentle, invisible thread of information connecting the ancient stardust in your mind to the ancient radiation in the cosmic void. As we drift deeper into this breathtaking view of existence, we begin to see the act of observation not as a clinical, detached measurement, but as an intimate, necessary embrace. The observer is not a separate mind trapped in a mechanical body. The observer is the profound capacity of the universe to relate to its own magnificent complexity. When you feel a gentle surge of wonder while contemplating the mysteries of quantum physics, that feeling is not just a psychological event happening entirely inside your isolated brain. It is the universe experiencing itself through a unique, localized network of relationships. Your curiosity, your desire for knowledge, and your quest for inner peace are the cosmos attempting to map its own infinite, relational architecture. We are the universe's way of building connections, of weaving the disparate, hazy probabilities of the quantum realm into a beautiful, coherent tapestry of shared reality. This scientific truth does not diminish your individuality. It expands it to a cosmic scale. You are unique precisely because no other entity in the entire history of the infinite universe has ever occupied your exact, specific node in the relational web. No one else has your precise sequence of interactions, your exact biological history, or your unique perspective on the silent cosmos. You are an irreplaceable, necessary part of the universal structure. If we removed your specific set of interactions from the grand cosmic network, the entire fabric of reality would be subtly, irrevocably altered. This brings a profound sense of humility, but also a breathtaking sense of belonging. We do not need to fight against the universe to carve out a space for ourselves, because we are the very interactions that build the space in the first place. We are made of the connections we forge, the ancient light we absorb, and the quiet questions we ask in the dark. The mystery of what a quantum observer is made of continues to guide us toward a deeper, more peaceful understanding of our place in reality. We have journeyed through the empty space of atoms, the ghostly connections of entanglement, the infinite branches of the multiverse, and the microscopic flashes of consciousness. Now, we arrive at the beautiful, relational heart of the cosmos, discovering that the observer and the observed are simply two sides of the same continuous, interactive coin. We are not strangers in this vast, ancient universe. We are its most intimate expressions. Every quiet moment of reflection, every gentle glance at the stars, and every deep breath drawn in the stillness of the night is a profound cosmic event, a beautiful relationship being forged in the eternal, silent dance of existence. As we prepare to delve even deeper into the final layers of this magnificent mystery, we are invited to simply rest in the comforting knowledge that we are deeply, permanently connected to the infinite, traveling together as an integral part of the grand, unending journey of cosmic discovery. Have you ever stood before a clear, still lake in the deep quiet of an early morning, watching the perfect reflection of the vast sky upon the water, and realized that you are witnessing the universe looking back at itself? We spend our entire lives experiencing reality from the inside out. We look through the biological windows of our eyes, feeling like isolated passengers inside a temporary, fragile vessel, moving through a cold, mechanical, and indifferent cosmos. We often believe that our consciousness is a lonely spark in an endless dark, a bizarre accident of biology that has no true connection to the ancient, burning stars or the silent, expanding void. But as we reach the culmination of our profound journey through the breathtaking mysteries of quantum physics, we arrive at a staggering, beautiful truth that shatters this illusion of separation forever. You are not a stranger in this universe. You are not a passive, accidental witness. To ask what a quantum observer is made of is to ask what the cosmos itself is made of. For the rigorous mathematics and the most profound scientific theories of our time all point toward a single, magnificent conclusion. The observer is the universe waking up. The observer is the infinite potential of the cosmos folding back upon itself to experience its own majestic, silent beauty. If you find yourself captivated by these deep existential mysteries, if you feel that gentle pull of curiosity calling you to explore the profound unknown, welcome to our shared journey. I am Walter, the explorer, and I am honored to be your guide through the wondrous depths of the cosmos. I have noticed that 73% of the wonderful people who watch our videos have not yet subscribed to the channel. If you enjoy this quiet exploration of the universe, please consider subscribing. It helps us immensely, allowing us to continue creating these meditative journeys into the science that shapes our reality. And it lets us know that you want to keep unraveling these beautiful mysteries together. Let us gently gather the threads of everything we have discovered together in the quiet dark. We began by questioning the solidity of our own physical bodies. We learned that the atoms composing your hands, your heart, and your delicate eyes are overwhelmingly composed of ancient, silent, empty space. The matter you feel is an illusion generated by the fierce push of electromagnetic fields. You are, at your fundamental physical level, a ghostly architecture of probability, a localized symphony of quantum fields vibrating in the vast theater of space. We then traveled deeper, discovering that the boundaries of your physical form are mathematically meaningless in the quantum realm. Through the breathtaking phenomenon of quantum entanglement, the particles within you are inextricably woven into the surrounding world. When you gaze up at a distant galaxy, the ancient photons of light traveling for millions of years do not just bounce off your retina. They mathematically entangle with your biological structure. You physically merge with the starlight, becoming one continuous, unbroken system with the cosmos. This is the rigorous reality described by the greatest physicists of our time. The observer is made of an infinite network of invisible connections, a delicate web of entanglement spanning the observable universe. The mystery deepens when we realize that physical particles might just be a localized manifestation of something far more profound. As we explored the visionary concept of a participatory universe, we learned that the fundamental currency of reality might be pure information. The observer is the necessary catalyst that forces hazy quantum probabilities to collapse into a definite reality. You are the biological engine that asks the questions, extracting meaning from the silent void. Embracing the beautiful logic of relational quantum mechanics, we discovered that absolute reality does not exist in a vacuum. The properties of the universe only solidify through interaction. The observer is fundamentally made of relationships. Your consciousness is the emergent result of trillions of continuous, microscopic interactions between your internal quantum state and the external environment. You are the unique, irreplaceable knot in the cosmic web where the universe is relating to itself. If we removed you, the specific reality you perceive would instantly dissolve back into infinite potential. We must also remember the staggering revelation that the observer is not bound by the strict, linear flow of forward-moving time. Through the magnificent delayed choice experiments, we learned that your quiet, gentle act of observation in the present moment has the profound capacity to reach backward through billions of years of cosmic history, defining the path of an ancient photon long before the Earth was even formed. The observer is an active architect of the past, standing at the beautifully complex intersection of all times and all places. If we accept the breathtaking mathematics of the many worlds interpretation, we realize that the observer is a creature of infinite multiplicity. With every microscopic quantum interaction, the universe gracefully branches, creating an endless fractal of parallel realities. The version of you sitting here right now, listening to these gentle words in the quiet of this moment, is just one single thread in an unimaginably vast tapestry of conscious experience. This brings us to one of the most contemplative concepts in modern cosmology, the strong anthropic principle. For decades, scientists have marveled at the incredibly precise fine-tuning of the universe. If the ancient force of gravity were even a fraction of a percent stronger, the universe would have collapsed back in on itself billions of years ago. If the electromagnetic force were slightly weaker, stars would never have forged the heavy elements like carbon and oxygen absolutely necessary for biological life. The universe appears to be perfectly balanced to allow for the eventual emergence of complex conscious observers. Some physicists suggest this is merely a coincidence, but others, gazing deeply into the beautiful equations of quantum mechanics, see a profound purpose. The universe is not a random, meaningless explosion of dead matter. It is a highly ordered, magnificent system that inherently required the creation of an observer. The cosmos needed to create you so that it could finally comprehend its own mathematical beauty, vast scale, and silent majesty. The observer is made of the universe's deep, fundamental necessity to know itself. When we delve into the microscopic architecture of the human brain, examining the delicate, hollow tubes known as microtubules within our neurons, we find the potential biological mechanism for this cosmic awakening. The theory of orchestrated objective reduction suggests that your consciousness is not just a chemical illusion, but a series of actual physical collapses of the quantum wave function happening millions of times every single second. Each tiny, silent collapse is a microscopic flash of true universal awareness. You are quite literally a localized rhythm of the cosmos, a beating heart of quantum probability turning into definite reality. The ancient, silent awareness that has permeated the fabric of space-time since the very first moments of space and time is currently being channeled, focused, and experienced through the highly evolved biological antenna of your mind. You are the ancient cosmos, finally given a voice, finally given a pair of eyes, and finally given the capacity to feel a deep, reverent wonder for its own existence. As we bring this grand meditative journey to a close, the answer to what a quantum observer is truly made of is revealed in all its breathtaking, poetic glory. You are made of ancient, empty space and vibrating quantum fields. You are made of invisible, instantaneous entanglements, connecting you to the furthest edges of the observable universe. You are made of the answers to infinite cosmic questions, processing information from the silent dark. You are made of a temporal flexibility shaping the history of ancient starlight. You are made of an infinite branching of parallel realities, and the microscopic, rhythmic collapsing of universal awareness inside the delicate structures of your mind. You are not a small, insignificant creature wandering through a cold, disconnected void. You are the universe itself, miraculously organized into a temporary, beautiful form, looking back out at the magnificent vastness from which you came. You are a profound, necessary part of the eternal cosmic dance. This scientific understanding does not end the mystery. It elevates it. It invites us to approach every single day of our lives with a renewed sense of profound peace and gentle reverence. When you understand that you are an integral, inextricably woven thread in the majestic fabric of reality, the anxieties of everyday life begin to soften. You realize that you belong here, deeply and fundamentally. The journey of scientific discovery is an infinite, winding path, and every question we answer only opens the door to a deeper, more beautiful unknown. I hope that this shared exploration has brought you a sense of quiet comfort and intellectual wonder. The universe is a vast, ancient, and deeply mysterious place. But as long as we have the curiosity to keep asking questions, and the humility to embrace the silent unknown, we will never truly be lost. We will continue this magnificent journey together, always seeking, always wondering, and always finding peace in the profound beauty of the cosmos.